I'm Anna. We're AutoSave. Welcome to our what?
Nothing. Nothing.
Why didn't you say you were Ben? Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
We are watching Dungeon Meshi, Season 1, Episode 21. We found out that if I don't say I'm Ben, Anna will continue and say that we're AutoSave.
Yeah, I gotta improv, you know? Can't have dead air, right?
Yeah, no dead air. No dead air.
It's as if we're live.
Yep.
I need to be...
We are. Are we not? You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. When
Ooh,
are...
okay. Wait. Right when we went through.
Kabuya, do you have a bell, you bastard? Oh, the elves?
The elves. 100%.
That looks like an elven ship. God, it looks so cool.
This is bad.
Holy shit.
The canaries.
It's like a mine.
Danger level. Is she like shaving him right now?
Yeah. I wanted to be able to see his stubble gone now. Oh, look!
Look at him!
Smooth face. So Tansu's definitely in there with them. That's why they're here. Oh God. Whoa.
Look at, do you see Tansu's face?
Yeah.
They're so cool. Advancing.
Not good at negotiating, right?
Flexible.
And wise. Come on, Kabuya. Jeez. Where are you gonna put your chips? Where they're gonna go, Kabuya?
Yes, you did!
Whoa. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, play it. Play the emotions. Come on. Ooh, I love him. What?
Sealing the dungeon. Oh god. I didn't expect Mr. Tansu to be so quiet, too. Like, he was getting walked over. God, the elves are crazy.
They become scrambled eggs. Play with them. Play with the words like you play with food. Love that.
Aw. It's beautiful. Oh.
What, like Eggs Benedict?
Oh my god, it looks amazing. Soul
Eggs Benedict. What's going on?
Yeah.
It was definitely like a ghost or something, right?
There might be.
Am I wrong?
What are they saying? Oh.
Who? Oh my god.
It can't be Del Gall. Oh.
This
is
ghost
awesome.
has saved us before.
I know.
Like,
whoa.
It's like we're going into like the paintings. Are we in the past? Like what? 100%! 100%!
Aw. Senshi.
That Eggs Benedict.
Wow. This is mind-blowing. Wow.
Under orders.
Whoa.
Chosen.
Who is it gonna be?
He wants to see the fruits of your labor.
Aw, Izutsumi.
Just looking.
This is everything to Laios. He wants to stay here for the rest of his life.
Nothing for us to do. Replicate the lifestyle above ground.
What? What? That's the red? $400 years. I mean, yeah, it's since the legend started, right?
400, 600.
Why do you think Izutsumi is unwell?
Could be the fact that she's mixed with a monster and they have orders here.
That's the red.
That's why she's doting on her so much. The orders, right?
Oh my god.
She's like a baby.
Wow. I love the visualization of it. Censored.
Bring Fallon here. Like a family photo.
Yeah. You see the statue?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh. We generally don't eat at all.
That's why he said there was so much waste in the fields.
Taste is diminished.
That's exactly what you would think of the curse of immortality. I'm sure it would. Is it bad to want her to stay this way a little bit?
Whoa.
Are the wandering ghosts maybe the ones that...
They've simply lost their flesh. Wow.
Unable to return here.
Matches up with what Del Gall said.
The sword. Kensuke!
We see it everywhere. Oh? It looks just like Laios.
狂乱の魔術師を打ち倒し、この国の新たな王となるであろうと。人違いです。この剣は偶然拾ったもので、偶然ではありません。決まっていた。
He's the only person that would have.
ライオス殿、約束していただけませんか。を打ち倒し、我々を解放してくださると。
それは。ちょっと考えさせてください。
いや、断れよ。何可能性を残してんだよ。
でも無限にもできないだろう。
God, look at
I was
Senshi.
about to say.
That's a man. What am I?
ダンジョンクリーナーに食われた時が怪しいな。
That's fascinating when the dungeon cleaners got to it.
何を食べても味がよくわからなかった。
実際ほとんど味はなかった。彼らは食事が必要ないのだ。うまく調理が行えなかったのだろう。彼らに本来畑や食器は不要なはずだが、それがなぜ揃っている。なぜそれらに手入れをし維持し続けてきたのか。必要だったためだろう。彼らが正気を保ち生き続けるため。
Wow.
ライオス、わしは以前お前が多くの族長に言った言葉を覚えているぞ。
なんて言ったっけ。
まあ一晩よく考えてみなさい。
冷たい手だった。
Resolve. Ah!
We gotta think back to the orc chief.
Okay, that was Dungeon Meshi Season 1, Episode 21. That was such a good episode. Oh my god. Okay, thinking back to what Laios said to the orcs. Yeah. That's Episode 4. He says something along the lines of, like, from now I'll think about the possibility of gaining the dungeon as I go on to explore it, and then considering what it would mean to be king, right?
Mm-hmm. Which, I honestly, that line and Senshi reminding us to think back to it, what it gives is, Laios is saying here, like, oh, I'll be, like, in Episode 4, like, I'll be thinking about it. But we obviously have not seen him think about it.
Yeah.
And we're calling upon the fact that you promised, like, obviously, to, like, think about it and what it would be to be king. And now you're actually being confronted with the idea. It's this reminder, like, hey, this was already a realm of possibility. This was already a seed that had been planted, and you just hadn't really been, like, looking at it yet.
That paralleled with everything that, like, Mr. Tansu had said in regards to Laios, but also there's a difference in, like, in saying that we're going to think about our approach to exploring and gaining more of the dungeon versus actually coming face to face with somebody who's asking to be set free, who's asking for help, who is putting a lot of, like, trust and pressure and thought onto you. And that, I think, goes hand in hand in a very beautiful way that Senshi is setting up for Laios to figure out himself. Like, if you're rethinking about and revisiting that conversation with the chief orc, paired with the responsibility that is being asked upon you now, within that is what will breed a good leader or a good king or somebody who wants to do it for the right reasons, right?
Right. So we get a wordage in Kabru for the beginning of this episode of Laios and the siblings being selfless, which before we had been given the word indifference, but selfless with this episode definitely gives the energy of, like, if it is asked of them to do something that is good, then they will do that thing that is good.
Like, okay, in a very stupid comparison, like Wind Waker, right? Like, if you are a prophesized hero, just because the story opens on you and you are the person who has motive and wants to save a person or rescue a person, it doesn't mean you at the start of that journey are the hero of time. It doesn't mean that you are the person who is in their peak form and have gained all of the equipment that you need to and the lessons that you need to. That doesn't take away from you being the person who's prophesized, or theoretically, anybody could be prophesized, and it's who takes upon that mantle and responsibility themselves. But the journey and like what you go through will compound into the person that you're going to become that can be just and can be deserving. That doesn't take away the accurate observations that Kabru or others could have at the time they had them.
The sword is the literal manifestation. The
Yeah.
sword is the literal showing of that transition that you're talking about someone not necessarily starting as the person that would be the hero or would be right this moment capable of wielding great power, but through the journey becomes one with the title of being chosen and fills that role. And Kensuke's transformation from going to being what he looked like to now having the lion's face, being that like that creature, that monster that is the statue that these people hold dear. This creature that actually has a true form that is being kept captive.
Yeah. Damn. It was such an interesting thought. Obviously, it's not like confirmed, but it might as well be in my headcanon and like that it happened after the cleaners came. Like, that is beautiful to me. Oh my, dude, Copper's the best character in the show. He's my favorite character, I think. Like, he's like just so multifaceted, and there's so much that we don't know about him, but there's so much that we're given it very, like, just great timing in the way that I would least expect it to be given. But it's like, he's like a protagonist in of himself. Like, he's like a protagonist who is aware that fiction exists, but is like, oh, I'm not in a story. Like, the way that we learn about information from him is when he deems it beneficial to the situation. Not just, oh, yep, here's all of my exposition.
He's a catalog.
He's so interesting.
I think that now more than ever, I definitely question what I believe was him taking the bell.
Yeah.
And I wonder that choice on his part, like what he was thinking there, because I know that he was thinking. I know he had reasons if that is what he did. Like, he obviously has reasons for everything that he's doing, and that takes me to one of my favorite elves. Honestly, all of the elves were really cool, but the one that like walks up to him and literally says like, I can tell that you're up to something.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell that other things are going on, but we'll see what you can do. And that's honestly really exciting in itself. But to get Kabru to a place where he's like, the only option we currently have that could possibly be good is to put our faith in someone that could possibly do good.
Yeah.
Possibly. Because he notes that, like, Laios can do good and bad things. He sees that. He sees that there's a capability that this person could do great things, but he also sees there's the possibility this person could do awful things and not consider other people.
But he's so objective. Like, yeah, we're giving, like, parts of his opinion and his feelings about Laios, but he's being objective in the sense, like, okay, we have to be realistic about this. He's the closest, regardless of what I think.
Right.
He's the closest to the heart of the dungeon. We have to be realistic about it.
Of if he should be the king.
Yeah.
If he should be the ruler of this property. If I think he could rule well. Regardless of that, he's the closest to keeping what happened to my family from happening.
Yeah.
The monsters running wild, coming out of the dungeon, a massacre of people. A question mark that I had that was, the dead turned into monsters? Was that, like, did I misread that line?
Let's bring it up where you're talking about it. I think I passed it. The dungeon collapsed swiftly. Many soldiers and citizens lost their lives.
And you even see
because
some
the dead
elves.
turned into monsters and
And
ate people alive.
What? Is that what happens when the dungeon leaves? When the monsters leave the dungeon, that then maybe like the whatever magic or curses itself then kind of flood out? Like, it loses control. The dungeon has lost control, therefore things can seep out. Not just like physical monsters can seep out, but other things can seep out. It's kind of
Maybe.
like
I think it could also go into like the makeup of the dungeon, what spells were used, what happens to those once the dungeons collapse themselves, how do they expel into the outer
That's
world?
what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
the seeping out, because these aren't just like vampires and stuff. Like every monster in a dungeon isn't like, oh, I bit you, now you're gonna become me.
Yeah.
But what about that specific dungeon led to that? Was there something to do with the magic and it seeping out that led to people becoming monsters? And honestly, I think that conversation point is just interesting in itself because of the fact that we literally have characters that are beast people.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kabru was the only survivor, supposedly,
Dude,
really.
the idea, like, we're 21 episodes in. I know that Kabru isn't our main character, but God, it's so crazy and awesome that it's like, yeah, just nonchalantly. I heard that the vice commander at the time took you in. You lived there for years. Like, what?
What's fun about Kabru is every once in a while you hear that there was a certain character that was written by an author that was at first intended to be the main character, to be the one that you follow. And then they might get their own spin-off or they might get their own like close look, but they don't end up being the final product's main character that you follow. They're just in the story. And that has happened before, from my knowledge, for another story. And Kabru feels like that, even if that's not that actual origin, you know? Like, I'm not saying that Kabru's origin is that the person that wrote his character intended him to be the main character and then wrote Laios and was like, I'm gonna swap these. He has that energy, like we could have followed him in his heroic adventuring duties. We could have had an anime series where he was the
I
main
disagree.
character.
If there was one, it would never be successful. Like, and not
that
like
adds to my point.
No, not publication wise, it wouldn't be successful. I'm saying like his adventure, he would inevitably fall flat and lose to the villain, and that is why I love him so much. Because like that, when I was trying to phrase him in the manner of like a protagonist who thinks that who's aware of fiction and then is like, oh no, I wouldn't be the protagonist, but he has like that drive and that belief that confidence, but that's not what actually makes heroes in fiction.
Awareness.
Yeah.
He has too much knowledge of...
But is it too much? Because if you end up being the hand of the king, if you end up being the person who sets up the perfect, like, slam dunk for that lord, for that inevitable hero...
He's the tactician. He's not the hero swinging the sword. He's the tactician that advises the hero.
I'd go as far to say as he could be a martyr. And nobody would ever,
true.
like, people would unfortunately forget the name Kabru from history, and they should never, because Kabru has done something what a true hero would do. He doesn't care about the namesake at the end of the day. I'm writing a different story. I'm sorry.
He paints himself that way by noting that he is an observer to a bunch of important moving parts colliding right now, and he just gets to witness it. He is putting himself in this category that is separate than the actual moving when we first get him talking about it. But I would say this scene is what is him doing more than just observing. He is going out of his way to insert himself into the situation to the point where an elf even says, like, I can tell you're up to something. He's putting his neck out a little bit. He's putting some faith in the fact that he thinks Laios is the closest.
I'd say more than faith. I'd say he's using every card he has in his books right now.
Who he is.
Like saying that he has connections, he has a plan, this is how to go about it. Obviously, he has other thoughts going on, which are red. Okay, enough Kabru talk. We have to get out. We have to get out of the Kabru talk. Okay. The lunatic mage conversation was super fascinating. There are a couple things that I'm like, yeah, okay, of course. Like, the lunatic mage did what they did. We know everything about how Delgal came to the surface. There were great things that came up that I would have accounted for, like Delgal feeling to blame for potentially putting down the lunatic mage down the path
turned the focus
of black magic. Yeah, but then there's also things like before they weren't able to communicate anymore, before they lost their ability to communicate. Wasn't that a line that we had? By the time I was old enough to understand things, he was no longer in a state to hold proper conversations.
Like, you could be talking about the sanity there.
Yeah.
The fact that when we bring up at the end of the episode, the reason why they're continuously, meticulously cleaning their dishes and tending to their fields is a way to hold on to their sanity.
Yeah.
And if Delgal felt incredibly to blame for trapping all of his people here, then it would be even harder for him to stay sane, I would say.
Definitely. Partly because their sense of taste is diminished, but in the first place, we don't experience hunger at all. That's the curse of mortality, lunatic. Because by the conversation, I'm trying to imagine that we're talking about the lunatic mage, but in rewatching it, I was like, surely she's not talking about Delgal, right? Why did the lunatic mage? Who knows? By the time I was old enough to understand things, he was no longer in a state to hold proper conversations. I was trying to figure out if he in this was like, we're talking about the lunatic mage, or stories that he had heard from Delgal before Delgal went off, you know?
Right, and that brings up the point of, like, there are no old people here.
Yeah.
So, really, Delgal,
Subjectively.
where are we hearing... Well, that's what Senshi says
Yeah.
when we get here, is that it seems like there's just, like, a bunch of younger people.
Uh-huh.
So, that could definitely add to the idea that whatever we know, whatever knowledge we possess has been things that have been passed down. Because also what has happened is the people that have left, that become fiends, cannot return. Therefore, all they were capable of doing to communicate was to fulfill part of the prophecy, which was to bring the Chosen to Yad.
One thing that I didn't expect is that Delgal emerging with what his prophecy that he said matched up with what was said before he left in the first place. Like, that's like a beautiful surprise to me. I was worried that they would be shocked and like, wait, what, really? That was his mission? Not in like a negative way, but just like, oh, like they were going to be learning Delgal's last motive,
like his
for
wish
the first
or motive.
time.
Yeah, okay.
It's refreshing to see it being portrayed differently.
I think it's even more refreshing. Like, it adds to the refreshing nature of it with the fact that this was seemingly a man that was losing his sanity or in a depression, in a state where he was having trouble communicating with his loved ones, that he was still able to directly relay the message. That in itself is like, thank goodness for that. And honestly, Yadi, I think he even says that he's glad that he was able to escape.
Yeah. So that he could at least be free.
That he could at least be free. And that hurts. And that's like...
It also hurts thinking about the people who left and now they can't come back and they don't have the bodies that they had here anymore.
Because honestly, like, yeah, no, that definitely hurts. But I feel like my question marks, my theory crafting then goes, okay, so obviously those people don't have physical bodies now, and the whole way and reason that we can reattach, like, you know, people to their bodies when they die in the dungeon is because of the curse upon the dungeon, but these fiends no longer have bodies. So if we were to free these people, the grandson and all of the other people within this, like, little safety, serene snow globe, would they return to their authentic
Why did
age?
Delgal crumble once they left the dungeon, when he left the dungeon, though, you know?
Exactly. Like, but that fate is probably, to them, what they would wish for. They've lived for 1,000 years like this, not being able to taste food and not being able to, like, do anything other than talk to each other that they've been talking to for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And we get the idea that, like, we're happy about what happened to Delgal, that he was able to be free.
Yep.
So at this point, it, to me, in the theory crafting sense, I would view that these people want to just be set free. Because we get the idea with Tansu, like, how gross. Like, he's the first character that really brings up this idea, I feel like, that it's kind of gross that... Or maybe it was Senshi. Someone was, like, one of the first characters to bring up the idea that it was really gross, this curse that, like, locked people in here, and that you couldn't actually be free by death, that there was something icky about it.
God, the Western elves have such cool designs.
They all have amazing
look
designs.
Amazing.
Each individual elf, I was like, I like you. I like you. One of the other things I found most interesting about the elves, specifically... she was on the, so I need to get tattoos of left and right. She was on the right side of the table. She was blonde. She seemed the most, I mean, a lot of them had reactions that I would say seem like worry. They're tense. She really evoked that. Like, she had like sweat droplet kind of emotions drawn on her face where she was worried about the state of the dungeon, like a real care there. Whether that's because of what happened, like she lost someone in what happened 15 years ago, because she's the one that says 15 years ago.
The one in the upper right reminded me of Marcille if Marcille had blue eyes.
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's the one that I feel like emotionally was reacting as if she's worried about the state of the dungeon or the people around it or them.
Yeah. Damn. I love the metaphor that Senshi made about scrambled eggs and souls. I know, like, obviously it was like a bit too, but it's good. Great.
I liked the play with your words, play with your food
Yeah.
little joke during that scene. That was really good.
And the whole idea of Izutsumi, like, reacting the way that she did because of her makeup, it makes a lot of sense.
That, honestly, she was super cute like that.
Yeah.
I think I have, like, one last question to possibly, like, pose or ask, which I don't think that we could ever have, like, a exact answer for it right now. I feel like my last thing that I'm really wondering about is we're teleported to this serene area of the Golden Castle almost back when it was originally existing. Like, the state of it is still pristine. But it doesn't seem that they interact with the lunatic mage. So I'm curious, like, I there's no answer to this question that we would be able to actually hold on to. I'm curious if what we're seeing here was the actual intention in creating the dungeon. What we're seeing here is exactly what the lunatic mage used the black magic to create, and everything else with the dungeon is just an after effect. Like the fiends leaving it and the wreckage and the monsters and the layers above the levels, that this was the intended thing, this kind of snow globe effect. But then that opens the question of why would the lunatic mage not live within that snow globe with those people?
Trying to find Delgal.
Trying to find out, like, did the lunatic mage, were they in here with these people until Delgal escaped? And then went out to find Delgal? Like, I have questions there.
I partly wonder, like, okay, yeah, we've sent them down the path of black magic, right? This is an outcome of it. But what was the next step? Like, was there, like, resurrection of his father that was trying to happen, since the poisoning incident that Laios witnessed? Like, is there another thing that was being strived for past this?
Right, that's a good question. Like, if you're sent down a path for something, do you necessarily stop your research? We get the idea with Marcille that she wishes to unlock the answers. Everything she's interested in, there's censorship involved, but like the curiosity
so cool.
of wanting to learn more, is that something that someone who was on the path of black magic, that they were a really talented mage, would want to continue progressing in their studies?
I imagine just like the little sparkles that we saw being like glyphs. Like, I kind of wish that we could see like this absurd lettering that we could never understand when Marcille interacts with
the
them.
Writing
the
of like a
sparkles,
circle,
yeah.
like a magic spell.
I wonder if being locked in this world for 1,000 years has led to an insanity bred level of genius that has come to these people that helps them design whatever the fuck I'm looking at Marcille wearing. But whatever it is.
She looked great in it.
Yep.
And
All right.
she looked beautiful at the end.
No, there's like a very popular animated show in Western countries that is not, I've never seen Steven Universe. It's like, there's like crystal
Yeah, that's
people.
Steven Universe.
Is it? Yeah, it gives me that, and I've never seen that before. I don't know what that means. You good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. We hope to see you next time.